What? The Bible does not say that God created evil. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things.
God did not make moral evil. Moral evil is not even a thing to be made. It is a choice. It is a choice to rebel against goodness, against God himself. Now, the Hebrew word there is used for all sorts of things, including the word evil, but it's also used for things like disaster or calamity. And more of a word-for-word translation like the NSAB uses the word disaster here. Because in context, God is going to use the Persian king Cyrus to bring disaster or calamity to the Babylonians so that their empire may fall. The point of Isaiah 45:7 is that God is sovereign over all things, including the rise and fall of empires. This was a message of hope to the Israelites who were under Babylonian exile, that they would be freed.
No way. The Bible does not talk about how to treat your slaves, let alone how to beat them. When a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives for a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property.
The Old Testament Hebrew law is not a moral grounding for all people at all time, and it never intended to be. If we're going to look at Christianity, we have to look at Christianity as a whole. But in Genesis, when God made male and female, no slavery was intended there. And in Revelation, when all things are made new, there's no slavery there either. The Old Testament law is a moral stepping stone in the progression of humanity. The idea in the ancient Near Eastern world that someone could be punished for beating a slave was absolutely scandalous. Okay, the Hebrews are not the good guys. They're a hard-hearted people, and God is moving them along patiently in moral progression. You think it would have been just so easy for God to just say, don't do that. Well, it took our country a whole war to make it stop. So there's something deeply ingrained in humanity about wanting to enslave others, which is absolutely detestable and wicked. And thank God that eventually Christians rose up to abolish it. This is just part one, and there'll be a part two.